Okay. So we're going to be graphing on our unit circle of sine. So we're going to start with all of our x values. And we want to find the sine on our unit circle. So if you go back to your unit circle, okay. Remember on your unit circle, the x values are sine, and the y values, our x values are our cosine, and the y values are your sine. So this is cosine, this is sine. So at 0, our sine is also 0. Any questions over that? So that's our first point. We're going to graph 0, 0 here. So we're going to go to pi over 6 and see what our sine is there. So here's pi over 6. At pi over 6, our sine is 1/2. So at pi over 6, our sine is 1/2. Then we're going to go to pi over 3. At pi over 3, our sine is square root 3 over 2. And let's see what that equals. Take your calculator. Turn it on. Enter the square root of 3 divided by 2. And I get 0.866. Anyone get something different? Hit the square root of 3. Hit enter. Hit divided by. And then 2. Okay, yours just gives you, yes, okay, I'll show you. Okay, so we're going to graph this, 0.866. So in pi over 3, it's at 0.866, which is almost 0.9. So here's 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, so kind of right here. Any questions on that? Yes?
Why are you graphing pi over 4?
Well, because I couldn't fit it in, it's not equal distance between the whole way. You could graph pi over 4, and pi over 4 would be square root 2 over 2. That's fine. But because you want an equal distance on a graph, pi over 6 is, this whole thing is counted by pi over 6. That's fine. Okay, and then we're back to pi over 2. Pi over 2, our sine is 1. So pi over 2, we're at 1. Then we go to 2 pi over 3. At 2 pi over 3, our sine is square root of 3 over 2, which is the same as this. So it's 0.866 again. So pi over 3, we're back here. Then at 5 pi pi over 6 is the next one. We're at 1/2. So 5 pi over 6, we're right here at 1/2. Then we're going to move to pi. At pi, sine is 0. Everyone keep going on their graph using the unit circle. So you can see the whole thing, go all the way to pi. Okay, so let's see what we did. So now we're going to negative at 7 pi over 6. We're down at negative 1/2. At 4 pi over 3, we're at negative 0.0866. This is right here. Then at 3 pi over 2, we're at negative 1. Then we're going back to negative 0.866. Back to 0.5, and then back to 0. Any questions on that? Okay, and this is our beautiful sine curve then. And then it goes on the same pattern forever in both directions. Okay, one sine curve goes all the way around the unit circle. It keeps going. If you keep going up to 4 pi, just keep going around that unit circle and then we'll repeat the pattern. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, sine waves we see in life, they're sound waves. Sound waves are like sine waves. Okay, higher frequencies, the faster it moves, determines the pitch. Okay, slower. Okay, it determines how low. Any questions on it? Okay. Continue to use your unit circle because we're going to be going back and forth again. This is the basic formula for your sine curve. Okay, the A value isn't the stretch and shrink like we were used to. A talks about how high and how low it's going. It's the amplitude. Okay, and the amplitude is the absolute value of A. Because if A is negative, it will flex just like normal. And it's how high or how low the function goes from the midline. high or how low the function goes from the midline. Okay, the midline is the line that is equal distance from the max and minimum point. And equal distance from the max and minimum point. And let's show you on our sine curve. Okay, so our sine curve starts at 0. So that's how you could identify the midline. The midline is where it's going to be starting. So this is our midline. And it is y equals 0. And your midline will be the same today. Okay, this midline will be the same for today. We're not going to shift it up or down at all. Your sine curve will only change for the midline if you move your graph up or down. So this is always going to be at y equals 0 today. Then the amplitude is going to be your distance from here to here. From your max point. So your amplitude is 1. Because it goes to the height of 1. Any questions over that? Okay, then we're going to talk about the frequency. The B value is the frequency. And that is the number of cycles between 0 and 2 pi. So how many sine waves do you see between 0 and 2 pi? The period is 1 cycle. The length of time it takes the periodic function to repeat. And it has a formula that we'll be using. The period equals 2 pi divided by b. Any questions over that? So if we go back to our sine wave, the period is from here all the way to when it stops curving. It's here. Your sine curve will always have an up and then a down and then back to 0. It ends where it starts at 0, 0. But it has to go up and then back down. The period for this is 2 pi. Period equals 2 pi. Any questions? Okay, let's go. So now for these, we're just going to first start with finding the amplitude, the frequency, the period, and midline. So because I told you we're not moving this, we're not adding anything out here to make it move up or down. Okay. The midline's always going to do 0. Y equals 0. And the midline's always going to be y equals 0. Then the amplitude is the number in front of the sine or the cosine. Okay, so the amplitude in this case is just 1. The frequency is your b value. And that's the number set in front of the theta. And so it equals pi. And the period is equal to 2 pi divided by b, which gives me 2 pi divided by my b value, which is pi. So period is equals 2. Because the pi's will cancel out. Any questions over that? We're all good? Okay, what is the next one on their own? Okay, Natalie, what did you get for the midline? Okay, y equals 0. Not just 0, but y equals 0. Molly? Is Molly here today? No. Zach, what did you get for the amplitude? Very good. It's the number for the sign. Kelsey, would you get for the frequency? What's the number in final phases? Is there a number in front of theta? No. So what number is there if there's not one? If there's not one written in? 1. Right, the B value is 1. So 1 times theta is theta. So the frequency is 1. So then our period equals 2 pi divided by 1, which is just 2 pi. Any questions over that? Okay, the next one then, we need to start because it has a negative here. The negative simply means to reflect. So our sine curve normally goes like this. Our sine curve now is going to start down and move up. This is reflecting. So it won't look like this anymore. It'll go down and back up. Any questions? Okay, Kamai, what's the midline? What is it? No, it's 0, but what is it after 0? Y equals 0. It always has to have a y equals. And what's the amplitude? Okay, it's the absolute value, so it's just 5. The negative tells me to reflect. So just like when we had stretch or shrink, it was just the number, not the negative or positive. Okay, let's see. Miriam, what's the frequency? Very good. So then our period is 2 pi divided by 2 pi equals 1. Any questions over that? Okay, scrolling down. Now we're in a graph. Yay. Hey, you want to keep your unit circle on? We're going to use our unit circle. To the graph anything, you can just pick points and plug them in to find it. And that's kind of what we're going to do. Okay? As we go on, you'll see the pattern and be able to do it quicker and without as much work. Okay, but at the beginning, you're just going to plug numbers in and see where your curve goes. Okay. So you want to do everything we just did, which is find the midline. Then we're going to graph it. Right along the x-axis. Our midline. Then you want the amplitude, which is 3. So that's how high and how low it's going to go. So here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. It's going to go down also to negative 3 then. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Any questions? Then we want our frequency and period. The frequency is the number here. And since there's nothing there, the frequency is just 1. period is 2 pi divided by 1, which equals 2 pi. Any questions over that? Now the 2 pi is where we're going to stop, because we're only going to show one sine curve. We can continue on and show 2 or 3, but I just need you to graph one sine curve right now. So we're going to put our 2 pi over here at the end, because that's where we want to stop. The next theta number is what's halfway between 0 and 2 pi? Pi, it's not your question, yeah. So pi's in the middle. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't really need that many. So we'll count here. 2 pi over 6 and pi over 3. Okay, we're going to count basically by pi over 6 then. And here's pi, and this is going to be 2 pi over 3. Oh, let's look at our unit circle. Makes it a little easier to identify. Not 2 pi over 3. I'm going to go erase this. Nothing as well. I'm not doing it well. I'll break it up. Let's get pi over 2 in here. So we're doing halfway between this, and then we'll do 3 pi over 2. Any questions over that? Okay, you can count differently if you want. You don't have to use the same points that I do. Okay? I'm just going to plug these points in because they're going to be the easy ones. Okay. So the first thing we're going to start is at 0. Okay. So we're going to plug in 0 for theta. So we're going to do 3 times the sine of 0. You're going to go back to your unit circle. We're going to go at 0, and our sine is 0. So we're going to go back to this. Okay, and so that's 0, 0 is our first one. Because 3 times 0 would give you 0, right? Any questions on that? We're going to go to 3, and then times the sine. Next we're going to do is pi over 2. That's pi over 2. Go back here. At pi over 2, what's the sine class? What is it, class?
1.
Oh, they're kind of someone awake. I feel like we're walking dead today. So this is 3 times 1, which is 3. So at pi over 2, I guess it's right here, we're going to be at 3. Any questions over that? So we're going to go to pi. We're going to do 3 times the sine of pi. Go back to our unit circle. And at pi, it's 0 again. Okay, so we're going to go back to 0. Any questions on that? Okay, keep going. Now we're going to do 3. Do 3 times 0, which gave me 0. Then we're going to do 3 times the sine of 3 pi over 2. We're back to our unit circle. Okay, at 3 pi over 2, I can't see it here. What is the sign? -1. So here it's going to be 3 times -1, which gives me -3. It's going to go down here. Any questions on that? Okay, then we're going to go back up to 0. At 2 pi, it's 0. Okay, so my sine curve looks like this. Make your sine curve look prettier than mine. Any questions over that? We're all good? Okay, let's do the next one. First we have to see is that it's going to reflect. So my sine curve is going to go down and back up, like that. The opposite of what it's doing. So we need the amplitude. 100, what's the amplitude? 2. So label this 1 and 2, and then -1, and then -2. Any questions over that? Then our frequency equals 2. And our period then, everyone find the period for me. Any questions? Okay, so we want pi to be at the end. Because it's going to stop at pi. It's going to make the full circle at pi. Any questions over that? So in between here and that is pi over 2. This will be pi over 4 then. And this is, oh, I'm trying to go silver. Right here. And then this is going to be 3 pi over 4. Any questions over that? Okay, the easiest way to label your x-axis, because that's going to be the hardest part for you guys to figure out what goes in here, is you need at least 4 key points. You need 4 key points. So if this is pi, whatever your period is, divided by 4. So pi divided by 4 is pi over 4, and then count by pi over 4. Pi over 4 plus pi over 4 is 2 pi over 4, which reduces to pi over 2. Then 2 pi over 4 plus another pi over 4 is 3 pi over 4, plus another pi over 4 would be 4 pi over 4, which reduces to pi. So your period goes here always at the end. Okay, what goes here is the period divided by 4. Write it down. And then you just count by whatever that value is. Any questions over that? Okay, then we're going to graph it. Can someone tell me where I should start at? 0, 0, right? Okay, so the next one's going to be pi over 4. So I'm going to do -2 times the sine of 2 times pi over 4. 2 times pi over 4 is just pi over 2. So you can cancel it out. 2 can go into 4 2 times. So you get -2 times the sine of pi over 2. Go back to your unit circle. Right away. At pi over 2, what is our 1? Okay? So we're going to do -2 times 1, which gives me -2. So at pi over 4, I'm going to go to -2. Anyone know what to do next? At pi over 2, what should it go to? 0. At 3 pi over 4, where should it go? Go to the amplitude of 2. And at pi, where should it go? 0. So you can plug them all in, but if you see the pattern, I'm okay with you using the pattern. Maybe find the first point to make sure if it's going up or down. This just helped me remind me that it went down this time because we were reflecting. Okay, instead of going up. Any questions on that? Yep.
Do you even have to plug it in as long as you know that answer? Yeah, you just know
Yes.
that that's where it'll go to?
Yes.
So you don't have to plug it in?
No. Okay? So you can know the pattern, right? Okay, good. Which is why I'm teaching it here this way. Okay? However, my problem is that you guys don't remember. Okay? So I'm teaching you to plug it in to help remind you. Okay? But if you can remember, by all means, please do, because that's how I do it. Okay? But you have to be able to find these key points then. If you use different points in this, then you have to plug it in, or you're going to get all off. Because you want the 4 corners, not the 4 corners, the 4 end points, right? The 0, 1, sorry, the 0, 0, the 0, 1, okay, the -1, 0, and then the 0, -1. You want these key points, this one, and this one, and this. That will show you how it will get you to the amplitude. Okay. Roll down. Okay, so here's our graph. Everyone try and do this one on their own. Okay, let's start by finding just the period, the amplitude, and all that good stuff, and labeling it. Okay? Then we'll come back together and see what we can do. came up with our amplitude for the midline. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4. This is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. Okay. But we just can't find it in the frequency, guys. It has to be 1/2. And then the period goes down as 2 pi. Oh, good. 2 pi divided by 1/2 is only 4. Let's review how to deal with fractions. Hunter, are you with me in the back? Okay, good. Oh, Connor, are you with me here? Okay, good. So, let's review. 2 pi divided by 1/2. Write it down. Okay, that's the same as this. Then we do 2 pi. We can't divide by a fraction, so we multiply by the reciprocal. So the period equals 4 pi. 2 times 2 is 4 pi, and this is over 1. So 1 times 1 is 1. So 1 is in the denominator. Any questions on how we got that? So your period of 4 pi goes here. Anyone know what goes here? 2 pi or pi, class?
Pi.
Pi. You divide it by 4, right? 4 pi divided by 4. You need 4 key points. Is pi. So that's what goes here. So then we just count by pi. Pi, and then 2 pi, and then 3 pi. Any questions? Okay. You start at 0, 0. Okay, I'm going to plug in the first one, just to remind us how this works. 4 times the sine of 1/2 times pi over 2. Sorry, just pi, my bad. That gives me 4 times sine of pi over 2. We go back to our unit circle. Have pi over 2. Sine is 1. Just put it back in. Okay, so 4 times 1, this gives me 4. So here it's going to go to 4. Then it should go back down to 0. Then it should go to negative 4. And then it should go to 4 pi. Is Daniel with me? I need to get copies like at Starbucks in my classroom. All my friends do like to post these. Any questions over that? We're good? Okay. So now we're going to write the equation based on the graph. So we first want to find the amplitude. Actually, let's write down the equation. Remember, our equation is y. Y equals a times the sine of b times theta. Theta. Okay, that's our formula. So we need to find the a and the b. That's what we're going to replace. So the a is 2. Okay, in order to find the b, we want to find the period first. Anyone have the idea of the period? One sine curve goes from here to here. Let's see. It stops here. Okay? That's the beginning and the end of the sine curve for the period of 2 pi. To find the b then, we know that the period equals 2 pi over b. So if the 2 pi over b equals 2 pi, hopefully you guys know how to do this without doing any math. If not, let's cross multiply. 1 times 2 pi is 2 pi. B times 2 pi is 2 pi times b. Then divide both sides by 2 pi. Divide both sides by 2 pi. And get b equals, what is it, class? What is it, class? 1. Oh, so awake and excited to learn today. So y equals my a value, which is 2. Now we're going to plug everything in. The amplitude is 2, so the a value is 2 right here. Times sine. My b value was 1. Times theta. So the equation of this graph is y equals 2 times the sine of theta. Any questions over that? Okay, now we're going to graph the reciprocal of sine. Cosecant. Everyone turn to someone close to you and tell them the formula for finding the period. Talk to each other for a second. Everyone tell them the formula. The formula for a period. How do you find the period? Alexa, what's the period for 2 pi over b? That's how you find this. Okay. To graph the reciprocal of sine, you kind of want to graph sine first. That's the easiest way. Okay, I'm going to show you the pattern so you know what it's going to look like. Okay. Here's my sine curve. I already graphed it for you. Okay, this is just y equals the sine of theta. That's what this graph is. To graph the cosecant, we're going to graph the reciprocal of all the points on this graph. Okay? So we're going to start here at 0. The reciprocal of 0 equals 0 over 1. The reciprocal of it is 1 over 0. Anyone know what that is? 1 over 0 is? Oh. What is it? Undefined. It's not 0, it's undefined. Okay, so that means there's an asymptote here. So you're going to draw an asymptote. Right here. We're going to the next place that it's a 0. Okay, the reciprocal of 0 again is undefined, so it's going to be another asymptote right here. Okay, and there's one more 0 right here. Any questions over that? Okay, then we're going to go here. At 1. The reciprocal of 1 divided by 1 is 1. You flip it upside down and have 1 divided by 1 again is 1. Okay, so this is a point. Okay, this is at negative 1. What's the reciprocal of negative 1? What is it, class? Negative 1. Because negative 1 divided by 1, the reciprocal is 1 over negative 1. And 1 divided by negative 1 is 1. Okay, so these are my 2 points. The next one we're going to need to know is pi over 3. I guess we'll do pi over 3 right here. Okay, you want to find the sign of pi over 3? We're going to sign of pi over 3, which is square root of 3 over 2. Is that right? Yeah. Square root 3 over 2. Okay, so we want the reciprocal of square root 3 over 2, which is 2. Yeah, okay, so the reciprocal. Of square root 3 over 2 is 2 over square root 3. Okay, I want to take your calculators. Turn them on. And do 2 divided by the square root of 3. Control enter. And I have 1.15, which is 1.15. So here's 1.15, it's going to be right here. The sign of 2 pi over 3 is also the square root of 3 over 2. Okay, so its reciprocal is going to be right here as well, 1.1. I know this because I've memorized unit circle. So basically, my shape of this, the cosecant curve is going to look like, or graph is going to look like this. It's going to do the same thing down here. Okay, so you have to identify the asymptote. You want to identify the amplitude, the bottom or the vertex of your parabolas, and know that you're going to graph the parabolas. Any questions over that? Almost done. Okay, so now we're going to graph the function of f of theta equals 2 times the cosecant of 2 times theta. Okay? So our first thing we need to graph is the sine curve for that. We're going to graph f of theta equals 2 times the cosecant, not cosecant, the sine of 2 theta. So everyone graph that for me right now. Find the period, the frequency, all that good stuff. Everyone's graphing that for me. frequency of estrogen, graph your point. There's the point. Here you go. There's the end, right? Label your graph today. Fine. Going that way. Only do one period, and it's more you're gonna like oh yeah, she watches you every day. Okay, sorry. Grab this stuff up here. If you don't know, plug it in. See what it looks like. So pi over 4 in here. Okay, you guys are showing some very bad fraction skills. Three of you. I mean, you're putting numbers like, that don't even make sense. Not even in order from greatest to least. Okay? So most of you guys could give me everything I needed. You would tell me this is pi. Some of you couldn't even place pi. The period always goes here. Please write this down if you didn't already. Because some of you guys couldn't figure out how to do this because you didn't write it down. What goes here at the beginning, we go here, or in the middle, doesn't matter, is the period divided by 4. So this is going to be pi over 4. Okay, I had lots of interesting answers there. Okay, some of you guys told me that 3 pi over 2 was smaller than pi. No, 3 pi over 2 is 1.5. Okay, now we're just going to count. Pi over 4 plus another pi over 4 equals 2 pi over 4, which is pi over 2. Now we're going to add another pi over 4 to get to the next one, plus pi over 4. Very good. It's 3 pi over 4. There we go. That's how it should be graphed. Then we graph this point. It goes up to 2. Negative 2. So here, then goes down to 0, then goes to negative 2, then goes back up to 0. And this should be my graph. I should probably hit that point though. Okay. Any questions over that? Okay, now we're going to graph the cosecant. And the cosecant is the reciprocal of my sine function. So let's start with the zeros. The reciprocal of 0 is undefined. So if I take 0 and I make it undefined, that's my asymptote here and here and here. Now, if you don't go with the pattern, you're going to be a little confused. Because the reciprocal of 2 is not 2. But the reciprocal of 1 is 1, and then you have to multiply it by the 2 that's on the outside. Okay? Because if we're plugging this in, I will plug it in for us, pi over 4. Okay? So 2 times the cosecant of 2 times pi over 4 is 2 times the cosecant of pi over 2. Okay? We go back to our unit circle. Okay, pi over 2, the sign is 1. I want the reciprocal of 1 class, which is 1. Oh. Reciprocal of 1 is 1. So that gives me the cosecant of pi over 2 is 1. Times 2 is 2. So my point's going to be here. It'll be the same for negative 2 here. So the reciprocal of negative 1 will be negative 1 times 2 is 2. And I know it's going to be parabola shape. Just draw in the parabola. Same thing here. We're not shooting for real accuracy. We just want to know what it looks like. Know the pattern. Any questions over that? You're all good. Whew. Okay, so your homework is in your packet. Okay. I think it has the back to it. Yes. Okay, front and back. Label your axes. I will not give you credit if you're not labeling the axes. Okay? Any questions? Let's get to work.